Hi guys, and welcome back to Neil's Wheels. Today we're looking at the Himalayan and fitting accessories to it. So basically I bought some accessories for the Himalayan, including engine bars, master cylinder guard, oil cooler guard, also sat-nav mount. The Himalayan's actually got the tripper on, which is a great addition, works really well, but sometimes you just want to have that sort of forward knowledge of where you're going to be turning and where you're going to be going. On the BMW, the GS I've got, I use the XT from Garmin, which is a brilliant piece of kit. So what I wanted to do was use that on the Himalayan as well. So I've bought a sat-nav mount and the wiring and the adapters to do that. So I'll be looking at how to fit that as well. So I'll just show the Himalayan that I've got, which I think you know about already. So we'll be fitting the oil cooler onto here. So this old one here will come off, the original one will come off, and the aluminium one I've got will go on there. The engine bars fit onto a hole here. The kit comes with the bolts ready to do that, and then it also fixes onto the engine mount just there, and the same the other side. And so the master cylinder, I think, is probably the easiest thing to fit. Excuse me, it goes a bit dark, but that just goes on here, and that's just the two bolts there, using the original bolts to put the cover back on. As you can see, the bike needs a really good clean, but I thought what I would do, I'll get these parts fitted first, and then I'll set about it and give it a good clean and polish, and probably prepare it for the winter. So I've got some ACF which I could put on, but I've also got some supposedly environmentally friendly stuff called armour, so I'm going to have a look at that and see which I think is best to use. The ACF 50 is great, it does leave an oily film, but does a really good job of protecting all the bugs through the winter. Anyway, let's get on, get some of these old bits and pieces off and the new bits and pieces on. Well, we'll start with the easiest bits first, and I think the easiest bit is the master cylinder cover. So the master cylinder cover, just remove these two bolts here, fit the cover on, refix it with the original bolts. Okay, so what you need for this is a 5mm Allen fitting to remove the bolts, which I've got here on a socket. Just undo the screws, put the master cylinder cover on, redo it up and show you when it's finished. So that's that job done on the master cylinder. As I said, it was a 5mm hexagonal head fitting, or an Allen key, whichever you prefer to call it. Really easy to do. So as you can see, that's it fitted. Torqued up to 5 Nm, that's all, so not too tight. But I think, yeah, it looks good. Let's get on with the next one. And that is round the other side of the bike. As you can see, the sun has now gone in, back to the usual Cumbria summer. So we're going to go for the oil cooler next. So as you can see, it's got the old cover on at the moment. So we'll need to undo screws here and the hex head or Allen key head in there. So we'll get this cover off, offer the new one up and see how that looks, and see about fitting that. So that's the oil cooler guard off, the original one that came with the bike. The oil cooler there looks a bit mashed. I'm not quite sure what's happened there with the guard on, but anyway, not all I can do about that at the moment. So the guard itself, we have to be careful when we fit it to make sure that the top here of the guard actually clears the top part of the cooler there. So we've got to make sure there's a space, an air gap between there when we fit it. So we'll just offer that up now and have a look and see how that looks. So that's the guard fitted. Looks pretty good. As you can see, we've got the two 10mm bolts there, and then this is an Allen key, hex key here, which is just the 4mm one there. So that's torqued up to 5 Nm and these to 7. So yeah, it looks good, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see from here or not. So we've got the gap at the top of the oil cooler guard there and the oil cooler frame. So that's perfect. So we'll now move on to the engine guards. So the engine guards, as I showed you earlier, fit onto this fixing here and this fixing here on this left hand side of the bike. So we'll put that one on next. I know a lot of you are probably thinking that these parts are easy enough to fit, which they are. You don't need to show how, well, I don't need to show you how to do it, which I don't, but it's more just to show you what they look like on the bike when they're done. I thought, well, if I'm doing that, I'll just show you just me fitting them. So I've undone the nut on the end of the top engine bar, which is this one here, and then I've knocked that through, or started to knock that through onto the side. We'll need to retract the bar to get the engine bars on. What I've also done is just supported the weight of the engine on the jack here. That's just a precautionary measure. You shouldn't really need that, but I just thought, well, better be safe than sorry. So as you're knocking the bar through the engine, better be careful with the oil pipe, which runs here, because this is the bar coming out here. But when you're knocking it through, you're not knocking the pipe out the way, so just be careful when you're knocking it, to check on this side. So we'll take this bar out, put the engine bars on, put the bar back in, and I'll come back to you and show what that looks like when it's all fitted on. So that's the engine bars fitted. A really simple job, not difficult at all. So the kit comes with the bolts to go to the bottom of the bars there, and the original top engine mount bar is used to fix the top of the bars there. So I'm just going to tighten them up. Recommended torque for the top bars is 50 Newton meters, and the bottom, it doesn't actually say, so I'm going to start off at 20 for those and see how that feels. 13mm is the bolt at the bottom there, 17mm on the bolt head on the right hand side of the engine mounting, and this side is also a 12mm fixing. So we'll get that all tightened up and then I'll show what it's like when it's all finished. Right, so that's the easy bits done. As I said earlier, this isn't a difficult job to do. You probably need to show how to put these things on the bike. To be fair, they are quite simple. But it was just to give you an idea of what the bike will look like with these bits on and these accessories on, and just see if it's anything you fancy doing to your bike, to sort of trick it up just a little bit. So I'll just show you around what we've done. So we've got the engine bars on there, so they look really smart. And then we've got the master cylinder cover there. And then coming round to the other side, we've got the oil cooler guard on there. So as I said, that's the easy bit done now. So what I've got to do now is put the sat-nav mount up on here, which will mean taking the screen off to start with, which will just be these 4 screws, 2 on either side. So we'll start with those and get the screen off and see where we are then. So that's the screen off. As you can see, easy enough to do with the 4 screws. I've just popped the 4 screws back in actually, so I don't put them down and forget where they are. And then this is the sat-nav mount we've got here, with all the bits attached to it. So this part here, this base plate, fits onto these 2 screws here. I'll just show you those, excuse the bounce of the camera. So we've got a bolt there and a bolt here. So we undo those bolts, fix the base in place there, and then do the bolts up. So we'll do that next, and then we'll see where we are then. Right, so that's the sat-nav mount fitted now. As you can see, looks quite smart. I haven't put the windscreen back on yet, but I'll put that on soon. So we have to undo all 3 of the fixings for the clocks. Ease the clocks forward, put the bracket for the sat-nav in, the base, which fixes on the 2 nuts which I mentioned earlier, the centre one and the right hand one. Put the clocks back over the bracket, and then do up the 3 bolts, which are all 10mm bolts. Nice and tight, just sort of firm but not over tightened. So I'll get all this set up here, tightened up to where I want it, put the screen back on, and then it's just a case of finding out where we're going on the wiring. So we'll carry on with that then. I'll get all that back together and then I'll come back to you. Okay then, so that's the sat-nav mount put on. Not wired in yet, but in place. So that's looking from the front of the screen on. And coming round. There we go. That looks pretty good, I think. So we've got your Garmin Zumo XT adapter on there, and then we've got the fixing there, so we can still adjust that yet. I haven't tightened that up yet until I put the sat nav on. Then when the sat nav's on, I can see what angle I want it at, and that'll tighten it up. And this is a lock to stop people just taking it off the bike. So yeah, so far I've just run the cable down the back and down through there, and it's just hanging out here at the moment. So the plan is to just remove the tank, run the cables underneath the tank and to the battery there. So yeah, that's the next thing to do. But yeah, that's it done. So hope you enjoyed the video, hope you got some ideas. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Speak to you soon. Bye now.